Going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are phenomenal. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. Hope you guys are ready because in less than 24 hours, our first game of the week 3 NFL season will be underway, which means week 3 of the fantasy football seasons kicking off tomorrow night with the Patriots traveling to face the Jets. So waivers have cleared. Who's out there still on the waiver wire? How did the waiver wire go for you? How's your team looking? All of that good stuff. Whatever you guys need, you know what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football, some week 3 fantasy football. So whatever you guys need, starts, sits, trades, waiver wire updates, injury updates, roster reviews, whatever it is, get in the live chat. Let's get it going. Let's talk some fantasy football. So week 3, what are we going to do with this week? We have a massive amount of major injuries. We have players who might be returning. We might see Jordan Love in week 3. I don't know if I'm going to bank on it, but we might see Kenneth Walker come back. I think that's probably a little bit more likely, but I also think there's a strong chance that we just see Zach Charbonnet suit up. This is a good home opportunity for the Seahawks team as a whole, but for their offense against a Dolphins defense that has been playing really poor, and specifically really poor against the run. So whether you own Zach Charbonnet or you own Kenneth Walker, I think both are going to end up being solid starts regardless of, if Walker does play or if he doesn't play. I like both this week a lot. Outside of that, I mean, Justin Jefferson has been practicing with that quad injury. We haven't been really super worried about the Justin Jefferson injury, but certainly good to see him practice and nothing alarming showing up so far on the week. And I mean, Jordan Love has practiced, so I don't know if I'm 100% feeling confident in Jordan Love playing this week and that upgrading some of those Packers wide receivers. Probably mostly Jaden Reed and 2 starting lineups. Although I guess you might still be starting Reed. I don't know. But we'll find out. We'll evaluate the Jordan Love situation closely. So Josh Downs, with dealing with that ankle injury, is apparently planning on making his season debut against the Bears on Sunday. So he may have been a player who's out there on the waiver, who might be out there on the waiver right now. I do like Josh Downs, although this Colts wide receiver room is getting a little confusing from a fantasy perspective. But we'll see. If Josh Downs is out there, no one picked him up, I certainly think he is worth picking up. I also want to note that the Packers have sent Marshawn Lloyd to IR. So this makes Emmanuel Wilson a really strong handcuff pickup. Beforehand, behind Josh Jacobs, we still had Marshawn Lloyd kind of floating around, so to speak. And now it's really just Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, AJ Dillon's on IR. You got Chris Brooks now on the active roster, but Emmanuel Wilson, in the very limited touches he had in week 1, looked good, and didn't look very good in limited touches he got in week 2, but is still a player, certainly, that if you want a pure handcuff, which kind of hard to roster handcuffs right now with all the injuries, Emmanuel Wilson worth a shot. So, all right, I don't want to waste any time. Let's break down some fantasy football. If you guys are waiting on a response in the comment section, I'm going to answer all comments before Thursday night football, like not right before, but between tonight and tomorrow before Thursday night kicks off. I usually make sure they're all cleared and then make sure they're all cleared again before Sunday, but I had a really busy day today. So I do apologize. I know I have a lot of comments to get to, especially on the quarterback tight end video, but I will get to all of them shortly through the night. I promise. All right, let's get to the chat. How you guys doing? MMA Pelea, what's up? Would you start Garrett Wilson or Devonta Smith? I mean, it's still close here. I'm in, I am by no means down on Garrett Wilson. The Patriots obviously have been good defensively. Their secondary hasn't been like phenomenal, but I don't know. I mean, they're coming in 20th against the position, so they certainly haven't been bad as well. So I'm probably going Devonta Smith, and AJ Brown is still not playing. So yeah, I Devonta Smith is just a hard bench for me. I mean, I understand that you know Garrett Wilson's a hard bench as well. But yeah, I also just prefer to sit Thursday night players if possible, because I always feel like there's a lower ceiling on Thursday night football, and most of the time that's the case. We get a little, players are more sluggish. Sometimes you see more of an offense, but generally we see more defensive play on Thursday night football. So I don't know. I hate like starting off the week and Garrett Wilson got you 9 points. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's still good fantasy players in Thursday night football, but they always make me feel weird. So I would personally, to answer your question, I would start Devonta Smith. And I still think both are good starts, but Christian Gonzalez has been like really, really good throughout the season so far, and is a good corner one for that Patriots secondary, undoubtedly. So, I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore's playing in this game or not, but for the Saints, but yeah, I go Devonta Smith here. By the way, really quick, last night's stream, I don't know what happened. I got off the stream, signed off and everything, and it was happening with I don't know if it was YouTube or Streamlabs or what, but like I saw it happen to other streamers last night, and my stream just kept going. Like nothing was there except the loading screen, but like the chat was active, and like I felt bad. Like people were coming in asking questions, and I was not here. It went on for like an hour and a half, and it was Pete who actually was like, "Hey, I think something's wrong with the stream." It says you're live, so if you guys came in last night and it was just a black screen, I'm sorry. Kels, how are we doing tonight? Rate my team. We got Kyler, Nico, Chris Godwin, Barkley, Kamar. Jeez. You got the RB1, the RB2, and the wide receiver 1. Kincaid, Goff, Superflex. Bench is either Javonte or Jameson Williams. Ford, JSN, Worthy, Robinson, Kirk. I mean, like the bench could be better. It's certainly not bad by any stretch. If we're gonna really break it down, you could have a better QB2 in Superflex, but this is a great team. Your starting lineup is very good, even if Kincaid's been playing with a low ceiling, as has Goff. I would imagine you have to be in like the 2-0 area. Okay, so it is JMO. Who would you sub JMO in for or keep him benched? Nobody. I mean, JMO, I think JMO has scored more fantasy points than Jared Goff. Like that's like the only thing. Like I think with a roster like this, you could actually consider it. It kind of maybe depends on your opponent's quarterback, but yeah, he has 12.3 and 10.7 points. So that's the only player I would really think about here. The team looks great, man. Tommy, what's good, my guy? Yeah, I saw. If you go Sam Darnold as your backup there, I'm fine. Yeah, I like aggressively went after Derek Carr, the waivers this week. What's up, Derek? Speaking of Derek Carr. Ace, need help. Send Likely and Kirk for Worthy. Yeah, if you have Andrews, this is a good trade. I mean, we got to understand if we own Xavier Worthy that there's a lot of volatility here. But yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Didn't everyone hate Carr for years? I've been thinking about this a lot through the first 2 weeks. Um, as the best ball season went on, on Underdog, I started to say, like, why, like, Derek Carr was going so late in best ball drafts, at least on Underdog, and I wonder what my Derek Carr exposure is. I don't think it's that high, but um, I just remember being like, I feel like you look at Derek Carr last year, it wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as like um his ADP on Underdog was making him to be. So um I don't know how. Okay, here's my exposure. I found it. And I remember drafting him a bit more. I mean, 7% is not bad. Like, I've got the same amount of exposure to Derek Carr as I have CJ Stroud. So, wow, I still can't believe I drafted a lot of Bryce Young on Underdog because he was just like a free QB. I don't even want to talk about it. All right. But yeah, everyone hated Carr. You're right. All right. Derek Carr is asking send Monty and Shakir for Ayuk and Eckler. RBs are A-Chain, Gibbs, Monty, Benson, Wright. You got Wilson, Reed, Higgins, Deontay, Shakir. I mean, I think this is a good trade because you need the wide receiver help. You know what I mean? And Eckler is serviceable. I mean, I'm still in. I've never been out on Monty, so I'll say this is a good trade because you do need the I mean, Jaden Reed's going to be fine. Higgins been hurt, but like Reed, Wilson's playing at a low ceiling. Reed doesn't have his quarterback, and T. Higgins is not playing. Like, honestly, like one of your next best options is Shakir. We're not starting Deontay. Like, we don't really know what that passing attack's going to look like. So, I hate to lose Monty, especially on a team that has Gibbs, because you're just like in a pure, like straight up handcuff situation here. But yeah, I think it's a good trade. I'd far rather have Ayuk than Shakir, and Eckler is at least serviceable. So if you feel good about it, I'm okay with it. All right, Vic at the bottom of the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Cup is on waivers. You have Debo, Kirk, Keon, Waddle, Mooney, Kamara, Henry, B-Rob, Charb. Do I grab? It has Cup's not on IR yet, right? That's so annoying. May not go on IR as of 5 hours ago. If he was on IR, I'd say absolutely. But that's a problem. Can you afford to have him on the bench? I mean, honestly, like Christian Kirk or Keon Coleman, when are you going to be confident in starting them? Wouldn't you rather just have Cup on the bench? You're kind of but Debo's hurt too. I'm sorry. You're kind of thin at wide receiver, so I would say in general, Vic, he's worth picking up just because you are thin at the position. Debo, Kirk, Keon, Waddle, Mooney. You're stacked at running back. Or go grab Jennings. I mean, that's kind of the problem is if you need someone to play this week, you might just want to pick up Jennings and see if Cup lasts because who are you're starting Waddle and Mooney? Are you going to start Kirk? I mean, I'm a Christian Kirk guy, and I don't even know if I could start him right now. And I don't think you're going to have the faith to start Keon Coleman. I mean, I don't think I have the faith. So if you want to go for the short term, it's half PPR, so you're looking for touchdown upside. That's the problem. If you didn't need someone to start this week, then yeah, it's Cup hands down. Hold on to him because you have a good roster, but it's just the injury bug is getting to a lot of us. So I would say I'd probably grab Jennings for now because he's in a good spot this week. And I don't love Jennings and half PPR, but he definitely has touchdown upside this week due to the matchup. So That's tough, but it's a great matchup against the Rams. I do think Cup is worth picking up here and rostering. It's just annoying you can't put him on IR right now, but I guess he's not going to IR, so it makes sense. I mean, maybe your league, he's listed as doubtful. I know some leagues, if a player's out or doubtful, or whatever, you might have different, but all my leagues, they have to be on the PUP or IR. So good question, Vic. Let me know if you need anything else, and thank you for the super chat. David Ezekiel, should I trade Dak and Waddle for Burrow and Pickens? Have Chase and want to pair him with Burrow. So, I mean, this is close to a wash. I still think Dak's going to be fine this year. Like, I'm not panicked on Dak. You know what I mean? I'd probably still rather have Waddle than Pickens. Like, I'm kind of struggling with Pickens because I still feel like he's like a nice volatile flex play. But I don't know if he's going to be like the way this offense looks. I just don't know. I think I'd rather have Waddle, even with the quarterback situation, than Pickens. But I guess I'd rather have Burrow than Dak. But is it that far apart? Is Dak your QB1? Like, if you're just going for the stack here, I don't know that it's worth it. It kind of depends on your entire wide receiver room. It really, it just depends on the roster, is what I'm going to say. It's close to a wash, but I think I'd rather have Waddle than Pickens. Tommy, who are you thinking about dropping? And you don't have to have a QB2 on that roster, but I mean, it just, if you could have got a guy like Carr, it would be nice behind Jaden Daniels, but you don't have to have a quarterback. So don't force it. What do y'all think about Steele? Think it'll be a good flex option? I'm not starting any Kansas City Chiefs running backs this week. I'm just not. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know at this point in the week if Kareem Hunt's going to play or not. We don't know who's going to be the goal line back. We don't know what the volume is going to look like. We don't know if Samaje Perine's going to get all the passing work. Steele could end up with like 2 touches. He could end up with 12. I think it's just far, far too risky. I didn't even really go for any of them on waivers this week. I mean, someone's going to pay off. More than one of them may pay off. More than one of them may have been total flukes. I mean, there are people dropping like $100 in fab on Carson Steele, and I was a Carson Steele guy in the offseason. Like, I have a ton of exposure to Carson Steele and Underdog, but he's an 18th round draft pick or whatever. As the offseason went on, he was closer to like a 16th, 15th. I just think it's a stay away situation. He could be a startable option, including the flex, but we just don't know. So I'm staying away. Yeah, I agree with you, MMA. We're going Devonta Smith. I put it on the poll for you tonight, so we'll see at the end. Right now, Devonta Smith is leading too. Millie Mills, what's up, my guy? We got A. Rich, Love, Henry, Kamara, Mondre, Amon-Ra, Evans, Cup, Dell, Reed, Fergie, Parkinson. What move can I make to fill in for Cup by not hurting the core of my team? So, I mean, you're set at quarterback here. You're not going to really need to move away from quarterback all season long. You can't trade Kamara. I don't think you can trade Henry. You can't trade Amon-Ra or Evans. So you're looking at like a Ramondre and Tank Dell package. But honestly, I think losing Ramondre Stevenson is not worth it. I mean, you'd have to upgrade big, and like I think you're selling Tank Dell low. You sell Jaden Reed, you're selling him too low. What's your record? Because I still feel like this is a solid team, and Tank Dell is going to be better. Giving Tank Dell one more chance this week. Should have had some big plays against the Bears. He didn't make up, but That's really the only thing I see here, because if you're gonna truly upgrade to where you can fill in for Cup, you're probably gonna have to sell. I mean, the other thing is you could try trading Dell and Reed, but I don't know that I would. Who's out there on the waivers? Yeah, you're 2-0. I see at the bottom of the chat. I think I kind of hold for now because I still think this team is good. Like Dell's going to be better. Reed's going to be better once Jordan Love is healthy. Cup will be back at some point. I would try and fill in with the waivers. Who else is on your bench? And like, I mean, players like Alec Pierce and Demarcus Robinson and some of these guys have been showing up, as waiver options. This is why you want them. I mean, I know it's tough because you have players that still have potential through the season and guys that are hurt, including Ferguson too. But Ferguson is hopefully going to play this week, and maybe that'll allow you to drop Parkinson. And honestly, right now, Parkinson's been downgraded to sit anyways for me. So I think you can move on from him, but that's the problem. You still got to have a starting tight end. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're 2-0, I I don't know if I would move off of much of anything here. If you were 0-2, then it's like, yeah, we got to make up for Cup. Like, you know what I mean? But I think you're all right for now, my guy. But yeah, those are really kind of I closest I would do. I don't know if I want to trade Ramondre though. He's been such a workhorse back. I don't know who's out there on the waivers that maybe you can kind of fill in with here is what I would ask. Kells, Garrett Wilson or J-Mo? I'll go J-Mo this week against the Cardinals. Love this matchup for fantasy. Got to see Garrett Wilson start scoring some touchdowns. Ace says, like the stream, guys. Hit the like button. Got to pick Wilson because I'm starting him playing against Smith. Fair. So I saw this in the comments, Tommy. So I would not consider the Ravens a must hold. They have just not been playing that way, so if it's clogging your roster, they're still going to have opportunities and probably some good defensive games. But I mean, the Chiefs week 1 was one thing. The Raiders week 2 are another. They got an interesting schedule here. At Dallas, Bills at home, at Cincy, Commanders at home, at Tampa Bay, at Cleveland. I mean, they get Denver week 9. That's good. And I guess at Cleveland could be good. I don't really know how to view that offense right now. They're better week 2 than week 1, at least in turnovers. Get Pittsburgh week 11. At the Chargers, Philly. Bye week. They're at the Giants. Pittsburgh at home, at Houston. I don't think I'd rather play the waiver. I mean, this defense is not playing well. I would rather play the waiver personally. But the waiver also comes with a lot of bumps in the road. All right, Jason, which of Olave, Emmett Jr., London, and Rice? Ooh. I'm going to go London. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Rice. And I'm not out on London. And don't forget, I was in on London last week, and it was a scary call. I was scared about it all week. And I was prepared to say, well, hey, you saw the Eagles secondary give up the touchdown to Darnell Mooney. The thesis was there. And then last second, my boy Drake London came through. Okay. So that's why we look at these matchups. And, this is a much tougher matchup this week for Lundo against the Chiefs. Should be a nice little game script here potentially, but it is it's a top 12 matchup. This is a tougher matchup for sure. And I just think Olave against the Saints, Marvin Harrison Jr. should have another monster week against the Lions at home. And I just think Rashee Rice is a must start week in, week out. So I'll bench London out of these 4. Traded Waddle, Monty, and Kyler for Amon-Ra, Purdy, and Randall. New lineup is A-Rich, Brees, Mason, Amon-Ra, Nico, London, Bowers. I mean, you got Amon-Ra. This is a good, like, I'm not out on Kyler in any way, but like this was a good use of selling Kyler high, especially when you had Anthony Richardson, because A-Rich will be fine. But you see all quarterbacks have this type of volatility. So this was a good job of selling Kyler high. And I don't think Kyler is going to be bad, but Kyler had 14 points week 1, 28 week 2. Anthony went from 27 to 12. So it's like that's actually really overall not that different. So this was a good trade for you. I mean, I still really like Monty, and I'm not doubting Waddle, actually. I think I'm a little bit feel safer with Waddle than most people, but Purdy, Randall, but the best player overall here is Amon-Ra. So I think maybe overall the Kyler, Monty, Waddle side might still be better, but your starting lineup improved and you have Amon-Ra, St. Brown now. So this is a dub. We'll call it a dub. Tim, what's up? Who should I flex this week? We got Bowers, Worthy, Dell, Uzavis, Quentin Johnson, or Zamir White. I mean, Bowers isn't in your starting lineup. I mean, yeah, flex Bowers. If you want to keep Laporta in, that's fine. You could even put Bowers in at tight end and bench Laporta. I know. Doesn't sound good to say, but you could. But who are you gonna flex if you bench Laporta? It's Worthy or Tank Dell. Because with Uzavis, you got to wait and see if Higgins plays or not. If Higgins doesn't play, then I like Uzavis, but we got a Monday night situation there. So, yeah, Bowers got to be in your lineup one way or another. And then do you roll with him and Laporta, or do you take a low volume, high ceiling guy like Worthy or Dell? Derek Carr, thank you for being here. You better cook up those Eagles because I've been talking you up all week. All right, Joel, do I sit London this week? I have both Moss and Swift that I can put in the flex over London just because their matchups are so much better. London plays the Chiefs, and wide receivers have been bad against the Chiefs. Yeah, this is an interesting one because Swift is so I just filmed the running backs that will dominate video, do one for running backs and wide receivers every week. And I talk about DeAndre Swift. I talk about a few running backs at the beginning of the video that are like, generally what I look for in these videos is matchup. And there are some running backs this week with really good matchups, like Zamir White and Alexander Madison against the Panthers, DeAndre Swift against the Colts. But how confident are we going to be in putting those guys in our starting lineups? It's a little spooky. So, then yeah, Zach Moss gets the Commanders. Now the Commanders' run defense is bad. Their defense is bad, but the run defense is still okay. It's middle of the pack in terms of fantasy, 16th most fantasy points to running backs, where like the secondary is giving up the most points. So it's a good matchup for Moss at home, but I don't know if his ceiling is like super high, right? Might be closer to what we saw week 1 against the Patriots, but yeah, we just talked about London, but that was with far different players here. I think I think the safest running back is still Moss. I'm very worried about Swift. Like, I think Swift could have a good week, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to where we're like, okay, we're starting Swift again. I mean, it's been, and you guys know my history with DeAndre Swift. Okay. I'm not denying it. Okay. That's my boy. But 1.29 yards per carry is tough. And it's not just Swift, it's the whole offense and the offensive line. So I'm still a little queasy there. And they're on the road. I'm just queasy. So in full PPR, I'd honestly probably just start London, but I think Moss is okay here. Tommy, I got offered Mike Evans and Gus Edwards for B-Rob. My other running backs are Barkley and Pollard. I also have Hill, Shaheed Kirk, Kincaid, Dak. So let's see here. Evans and Gus for Brian Robinson. I mean, wouldn't kill you at who would be your RB3? Like, what are your bench running backs? Is kind of the question I have. Because yeah, the addition of Mike Evans is really nice here. But I mean, overall, you've got a pretty solid roster as is, kind of top to bottom here, in terms of running backs and wide receivers at least. So um I don't know that I would make a massive change here. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I had to end the stream early because my daughter just woke up and she's not happy. So if you guys have had a question I did not get to it, I do apologize. I was way behind on the chat, but I will try to get back on tomorrow night. And if you guys want to take your question and drop it in the comment section on one of the start sit videos, I will get back to you tonight, or just hit me up on Discord. But I'm sorry, guys, did not plan on ending the stream early. But I gotta go grab the kiddo. So duty calls. All right. Love you guys, man. Loves community. Love the catch fam. I will talk to everyone soon. Apologize again for the short stream. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And peace.